Let's talk anime. Hello and welcome to Brandon's Discuss Anime, a Reckless Amoeba production. I am your host, Brandon Horvath, and with me are my co-hosts, Brandon Falinger.
Oh, well, good morning.
And also, Ryan, you rolling dice?
I mean, I felt like it this time. I'm not doing anything with it yet.
Oh,
That's what I was missing before we started. I couldn't find my D20.
And Ryan Stokely is with us. Yes, I finally got his last name right.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Yep.
It only took how many years of knowing him?
5.
All the years.
He's never corrected me once, and I'm like, oh. And the other day, I was on Facebook, and I'm like, oh crap, his last name is... And like, his last name is L-E, not E-L. Shit, I've been saying his name the entire time I knew him incorrectly.
I told him that I knew he was pronouncing it wrong, and I was gonna say something one of these days, but I haven't yet.
That's pretty bad. Like, it gets even worse, too, because I heard a story from one of my teachers at one point where some kid, I forget what his name was, but literally the entirety of the year, he had been pronouncing the kid's name wrong, and the kids never corrected him until, like, the end of the year, like the last day, where he's like, you know, my name is this. And she's like, oh, what?
Aaron.
Right.
Aaron.
It was probably something stupid like that, but I don't remember the name. It was a first name, too. It wasn't a last name. Like, it was ridiculous.
So, before we begin our discussions, this one is recorded out of order. So, stuff may happen in the next 2 weeks that already happened, and I don't know where I'm going to go with that statement.
Like the missile crisis and the bunkers, the aliens that landed.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
The zombie
Fish
apocalypse
people.
has happened. You know, we're running from those. Cthulhu showed up
And the event. Do not
with
talk
the-
about the event.
with his horde of fish people that Orion mentioned earlier. You know.
Ooh, now people will really want to stay tuned for next week.
Look, all right. Do we have to really even think about the event? Because that's.
That was a really good sketch from, I think, like, Michael and Sean or something like that.
I don't like it. It involves yarn. I'll say that, but I don't like it. It's a terrible event.
Then you and I must be referencing two different things. I'm referencing the British comedy sketch, and you're just making up random crap, I guess.
I'm referencing your goddamn story.
Oh, okay.
Doesn't even recognize his own work. Jesus Christ.
I know what you're getting at now, but yeah. I don't know much about this story, but did you hear Conan O'Brien is having a feud with Japan?
I mean, does Japan owe him bitcoins?
No. It's about...
Is it too big?
It's about Detective Conan.
Oh, are you fucking serious?
I think that's been going on for the past week or something. So he's going to fly out to Japan to, like, go to Conan Town and have something there. I'm not following it too closely, but I know as part of the agreement, he needs to provide a hamburger for everybody who lives in Conan Town.
Why?
Like I said, I'm not following it that closely. I just saw the headline, skimmed it, and I'm like, oh, okay.
Why is he having a feud? Why the fuck does he need to deliver hamburgers of all things?
I think that's what the mayor of Conan Town actually wanted.
But Conan has money. Make him buy, like, steaks for everyone.
I don't know.
Maybe in...
Get that fresh Kobe beef.
Maybe in, 3 episodes, I will tell more of the story. Maybe. When it already happened and everything's been resolved.
Nothing will be resolved. He'll still have the feud.
Any other stories?
You guys heard about the person that stole, close to $100,000 worth of ramen noodles in Georgia?
No.
Yeah. Somebody stole an entire trailer.
Oh, I think I saw the headline.
Of ramen noodles.
The man, what was his name? Naruto Uzumaki?
It could be. They haven't found the
that
person.
Motherfucker loves his ramen.
But it's probably just a fucking
stoner
college student.
Look, all right. If he's smart, here's exactly what he'll do. He'll find a pool and make a giant instant ramen pool.
Oh.
And swim in it.
Oh.
That sounds awful.
You don't deny the ramen pool.
Does your body absorb all the salt?
I have no idea. Maybe.
And, like, the noodles go in places? The noodles will feel weird.
The noodles might absorb most of the salt, too.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Like, the noodles, like, going all over?
Someone do the science on this. I'm curious now.
Yeah. Get back to us.
Then again, isn't there, like, the Dead Sea, which literally is so salt-filled you will float on top of the water?
I think.
So, couldn't we use that as a frame of reference in that regard?
Maybe. Yeah, I was out in Easton the other week and had some wonderful ramen. It was like
stolen from a truck.
No. It was fried chicken ramen.
Ah.
It's delicious.
With like
Now here's the real question then. Did they shove KFC into it?
No, it was...
Well, then it's not real fried chicken ramen. God.
It was like the karaage style of fried chicken. Like little bigger than popcorn chicken type pieces. It had like pickled jalapeno. I think like a hard-boiled egg. Really, really good. They also had tempura bacon ramen, but I wanted the fried chicken.
The fuck is wrong with you? That's tempura bacon.
I know! I was in a chicken mood that day.
Get fried chicken ramen almost anywhere. Get the bacon, man.
I will next time I'm out there.
Oh my god, are you stupid?
Maybe, because after eating it, I'm like, I should have got the bacon.
The bacon! It's bacon!
Bacon.
Now, if it was pork belly ramen, I would have just punched him in the face and said, give me that now.
I mean, in that case, I don't blame you. Granted, I think I would slap him with the menu and just point to it.
Give.
Now.
Do now.
That would have been kind of violent because their menu was written on a chalkboard slate, so...
Look, that just means that I have more leverage. I can just demand more things. With the threat of beating them over the head with a chalkboard.
Oh, man.
Speaking of restaurants,
yes.
I had a great time last night over at a Ruby Tuesdays. Oh boy, it was fun.
Tuesday.
You sound not that pleased.
Oh, can you tell? We were stuck there waiting to get in for like a half hour at 6:30, which, you know, it was a Friday. Obviously, that's going to be a thing. That's more or less kind of expected at that point.
Okay.
Once we get in, we're apparently told, right, that shit is backed up. That people, that they're understaffed and they had to bring in people that were still in training to help.
That's not good.
We ordered our drinks. It took like 10 minutes to get those. Two of us got like alcoholic drinks, the Ruby Relaxers or whatever. I just got a strawberry lemonade because I do enjoy their like fruit drinks. They're great.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, that took 10 minutes to get. We made our orders right away because it's like, we don't want to wait any longer than we have to. We all got a salad bar, which helped, but we were literally stuck there for like an hour and a half waiting on our main course.
The fuck?
And the waitress was nice about it and everything. Like, she even took off like the cost of the salad bar, which is like $2 a person if you throw it on for a side. Which, you know, that was nice. And even by the end, she was like offering to basically give us a free dessert, but we ended up turning that down because we were too full.
Was there potato salad at the salad bar?
I want to say yes. I don't get like potato salad because I am not a mayo fan. So anything that involves mayo is usually something I'm like, nope, get it out of here.
Okay.
So I'm going to say yes, but I don't know. Because I just kind of bypassed that section. But yes, the salad helped. Still, the problem is that you were sitting there for an hour and a half waiting on shit. And I can't even blame the waitress because she was running around to like 17 tables or something. Like, it was nuts. So from what it seems like, it must have been the kitchen or something that was super understaffed. Because even the manager at one point was walking around being like, look, you can go up to the salad bar, you know, for free. The kitchen is so backed up right now, we can't even take your orders.
Oh my god.
Here's the weirdest part, too. Because we're in there, and while we were in there, it emptied out pretty heavily. To the point where, like, I think there was maybe out of, I'm going to say, let's just say 50 tables.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to say there were like 20 that were actually full.
Oh.
They had like 30 empty tables, I would say.
Mm.
Again, I'm completely overestimating how big this place is, but that's about the ratio I'm looking at. But, like, they're that overwhelmed, and I'm like, when we first got here, yeah, sure, I get it, but half of them are, like, over half of them are gone.
And not to make you angry again, but don't worry, today's anime will make you feel all good inside, not make you forget about your bad experience last night, and the bad experience we all had last week with Casher and Sins.
Ryan, you need to go watch that. And I'm not trying to be like that because it's terrible anime. I mean, I want you to suffer with everyone else.
Yes. Okay.
I also tried to convince Tristan to watch it, and he's like, nah, I'm good.
Does he...
I'll get right on that.
Does he know it's eh?
I mean, I started ranting at him and Karen the other night. So I'm pretty sure he kind of knows.
Oh, maybe we'll have to get him on sometime for some other anime.
And look, he keeps yelling at me to watch his favorite anime, and I keep saying you got to come on the podcast if you want me to do it. So, you know, if he really wants me to watch it, he's gonna have to pony up and agree to come on.
So, okay, Orion, today's anime is from 2012, and its name is Psycho-Pass.
Wait, was it 2012?
Yep, it was.
I thought it was earlier.
No, 2012. Like, the first series was out in 2012.
That's weird. I could have sworn it would have been like 2014.
That was series 2.
Okay, maybe that's what I'm thinking of then.
Yeah, series 2 was 2014, and the third, the movie was 2015.
You keep saying series, you mean season, by the way.
Well, technically, these seasons are so separated, they're kind of like separate series.
But doesn't the second one pick up right after the first?
Yeah, but with staff changes and all, I don't know.
I'd still consider it seasons, but, I mean, you still have to make the distinct difference that these two, story-wise, are completely separate, even down to the writing staff.
Mm-hmm.
So you're getting a completely different tone and everything.
Yeah. So, Ryan, Psychopaths.
Person with a mental illness that can control time.
Control. Why do you say time? I'm curious.
Yes.
It's called Psychopath.
Pass.
No, pass.
P-A-S-S.
P-A-S-S.
Oh, pass. I'll stick to that and then say they passed 3 times. I'll stick to my guns. Or they're a crazy person and people don't want to say anything to them about their shenanigans, and that's their psychopath. And they probably lit cars on fire. Probably shit on somebody's lawn publicly. and yelled at like a dumpster.
Should we also point out that this does take place like
100 years in the future?
I was gonna say, I think it's like 100 years or something in the future.
Well, technically now it would be 94 because...
Round up, it's 100 years. Don't
Yeah.
matter.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm still gonna say all that.
Alright.
Well,
It's probably flying cars.
Well, this was written by Gen Orobuchi. So, I wanted to watch this for a few years, and I finally got around to it, and oh my god, this is good. This is a really, really good anime.
I should point out that we only watched the first season, not the second.
Yeah, as I was saying, the first season came out in 2012. The second season came out in 2014. There was a movie coming out in 2015. But, like, seasons 1 and 2 are, from what I understand, very distinctly different because they have a different production staff, directing staff, and writing staff.
Is it the same studio that's doing the artwork?
Yes.
And the animation? Alright, I was curious.
I think Gen Orobuchi gave the main guy ideas for season 2, wasn't a main writer, but as I'm looking through here, it has the main chief producer, but most of the other production staff has changed. And wait, directors... one of the directors stayed the same. Like, the assistant director got bumped up to lead director, and...
I wonder what all these staffers got pulled to do.
That
they weren't working on Psychopaths.
I do not know. And I can't find any quick reference about the movie. Oh, okay. Orobuchi did do the movie, so that's interesting.
Might be worth looking at then. I'm curious to whether or not the movie has anything to do with the series, like directly. I mean,
yes. So, Orion, what is the best way to deal with criminals?
Personally, I like Judge Dredd style.
Outright execution?
Yes. Like if somebody doesn't use a turn signal or throws a piece of trash. Definitely I could see this in the future. Definitely I could see just like a Judge Dredd kind of come up and tell them their sentence. But I'd like most of the sentences to be like just public execution.
That sounds to me more like a totalitarian government at that point.
Yeah, that sounds good though.
It sounds Hitler-esque.
So
yeah, that's what I'm for.
So would you say a good way of dealing with criminals is having criminals on the side of the law, hunting criminals against the law?
Yeah, I guess. It depends what kind of criminals. Like if they're like hackers or non-violent criminals, I guess.
I would say a lot of the enforcers are non-violent. Wouldn't you, Brandon?
Well, I mean, they're under the threat of immediate execution if they don't.
Okay.
So, I mean, yes and no. They're violent when they have to be, but it's always directed toward another criminal.
So, it's kind of like these people get a deal. If
Actually,
you help us, we'll help you.
Here's a great way to think about it. So, you've seen or at least know the premise of Suicide Squad, right?
Yeah.
Think of it like that.
Same thing?
More or less. But rather than like a collar that's got a detonator, they have a weapon that can either instantly kill or stun them to the point of like hospitalization.
Okay.
And when we say kill, we mean violently explode in a like splash of blood.
Bloody mess.
Nice.
Yes.
It's a very spectacular explosion.
And this is one of the reasons Orobuchi is nicknamed the Oro Butcher.
I still prefer Gorobuchi, thank you.
And in this near future era, everything is run, maybe not everything, but the civil system runs the whole world of policing, where everybody
it runs Japan.
Runs Japan, okay.
This is locked down to just Japan right now.
Where everybody is designated a psychopath, which is a risk that you might become a criminal via the crime coefficient, which is a particular number. And if you go over 100%, you are taken in by the police because you have become a latent criminal.
Basically, chances of becoming a criminal are so astronomical at that point, or doing something that would deviate from normal society, that you are now being pulled and considered a criminal before you've done anything.
Wait, so there's like a certain amount of like what the hell? So you start at 0%, or do you start at 100?
You start at 0.
And it's not really percent, because there's
a point-based system, because you can go above 100.
Yeah, I think the guns called the Dominators turn on to kill mode when you reach 250?
It's 300.
300.
You pass 300, it enters extermination mode.
That like encourages people to do crime if you have like a certain amount of leeway. It sounds like that. Like if you just like steal something, do you get punished at all? Or does
it all depends on whether or not that number is above 100 or not.
It's all about the number.
Yeah.
Of what the crime, every crime has a number.
Every person has a number. It scans people's brains, like through cameras and sensors. And based on like, the crime coefficient number, you're deciding on whether or not you're a latent criminal or an active criminal. But either way, you're going to be hunted down to keep society, safe.
So possibly, if you're stealing because you're homeless and need the food, and since your brain is like, I need to do this to survive, maybe your crime coefficient won't go up with
like anywhere near as much as if you were just doing it for the hell of it.
Yeah.
Granted, I think that's a poor example because at this point, Japan's kind of a utopian society. Because thanks to the civil system, it basically runs their lives, right? To the point of like, hey, this is where you're going to be the happiest in this like job position.
Oh, kind of like Brave New World?
I'm not sure. I'm not familiar with it.
No, that was like the book with everybody was grouped into 5 groups, like Alpha, Beta, Delta, Gamma, and Epsilon, I think. And everybody are like, oh, you're an Epsilon, get away from me, I'm a Gamma. And all the like people up are like, why are you doing this? To the point where some people are forced into their groups, like they're born into the Epsilon society.
Well, I mean, in this case, you're born and then the civil system decides for you from there. Like, you're judged as you grow. Like, there's one of the enforcers that was decided at the age of 5 he was a latent criminal.
One of my favorite characters.
Like, you literally, that coefficient goes above 100, there's very unlikely it's going to come down.
For the rest of your life?
Pretty much. Like, the minute you're considered a latent criminal, a lot of your options in society are cut off.
Either, like, spend jail time, or become an enforcer.
Jail? Yeah. More like a mental health facility rather than a jail outright. That's what it seems like. By the way, I just looked up Sybil for, like, the civil system, because I was curious after you said it. I'm like, I wonder what that means. It's got to have a meaning. Apparently, it's a woman in ancient times, supposedly, who were supposed to utter like oracles and prophecies of a god.
Oh.
Which, kind of fits with the set, like with this theme of what it is.
Oh.
Specifically, it's from Greece. But yes, that actually kind of checks out with the way this works, considering the fact that it's kind of passing down how society should be run. And, deciding on who's a criminal and who's not. Now, how long has the civil system been in place again? Wasn't it like, 50 years or something like that?
Something like that.
So people have gotten used to the civil system at that point. Yeah, that's right, because one of the enforcers is an old guy who was around when it first got put into place. So it was probably less than 50 years. It's probably maybe 30?
I think.
Probably 30. I would say somewhere between 50 and 30 at that point, yeah. Because I would think the guy's no older than, 65 or something. But, yeah. A lot of it comes down to the idea of... Ryan, how would you feel, actually, about living in a society where this massive supercomputer more or less decides everything for you?
I guess, I don't know. If it knows people's intentions, I'd say I'd be for it.
I don't think it knows their intentions so much as it knows, hard numbers on what they would, could, or can do.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know.
Because you're kind of at that point trying to decide whether or not you're living with or without free will.
Yeah, pretty much.
Because you're just straight up obeying this computer.
Yeah. Probably. Yeah, I don't think that'd be fun.
Even though the computer is damn good at its job and can decide for you what exactly would be the best job and most fun and lucrative opportunities.
I just think of Futurama, where Leela is the police officer, the very first episode. And Fry, they give Fry the job, and he's a delivery boy. And he's already a delivery boy. But he gets excited. He's like, oh, delivery boy.
That's what I'm familiar with. I mean...
but
yeah, again, would you prefer that or not? Because, even if the computer's completely and absolutely right.
Yeah.
Potentially even more correct than you would be on your own.
Yeah, I guess so.
You'd still prefer to be able to choose yourself?
Nah, just computer.
Let's
Fuck
go with
it,
computer.
Yeah. Just freaking let that decide. Less thinking.
What about you, Brandon? I'm curious.
Watching this series, I don't know. It's like I could understand where they're coming from, but at the same time, I would want some free will.
I mean, you still have the free will to choose what you're going to eat every day. More. I should say more or less. Considering, like, it's all kind of the same thing, just with different spices.
And what cybernetic projection I would want to wear that day.
That's right. Literally, Ryan, everything is kind of a hologram.
Okay.
From your clothing to, like, the accents to the room or, like, the rooms you're in. That can be changed at the drop of a pin if you wanted to.
Yeah.
Like, you could have, let's just say, like, a Victorian-era suite that you're living in. And you're like, I'm feeling bored of this. Let's go to modern New York. And within, like, a second, it'll swap over.
That's crazy.
Well, it is 100 years in the future.
I also want to point out, right? So, even their clothing is holographic. We see, it was Amane, right? I'm blanking on her name.
Yeah,
I think it's
Akane.
Amane. Akane. We see her pull out, like, what looks like a makeup compact, you know, like the little, like, clamshell thing that you open up, and it's got, like, the makeup in there. But rather than being makeup, this is, like, a little, little mini computer that lets you decide what you're wearing that day. So she goes from casual to business at the touch of a button with that thing, right?
Yeah.
Now, this is a minor nitpick, and it's only because I'm more curious about it than anything else, and maybe Season 2 answers this. I don't know. What's going on underneath those holograms? What are they actually wearing? Because we see her tuck it into a pocket, like that compact. And my question is, well, what's holding that now? Because that's just a hologram she's wearing. Like, what is actually under there right now? And where is she putting that? Because it's either got a pocket or it's in her bra. One of the two.
And I kind of liked our main protagonist, Akane, who is a rookie to the team. So...
Yeah, I don't think we mentioned it, but this anime follows Akane, like the main task force of the police bureau, essentially. Where Akane's new. They have the regular.
Enforcers.
They have the 4 enforcers under their belt,
which are
and
the
then they
latent
have her
criminals.
senpai. Yeah, the enforcers are latent criminals.
Okay.
What was it? It was like there's the old guy. There is
the young kid.
Yeah, the young kid, your guy. Again, I'm blanking on their names just completely because it has been a little while since I've watched it.
Yeah, there is Nabuchika, who is the old guy. Totomi, wait, no, I'm just glancing by these names now, which is...
You're not doing a good job, hurry up.
Yes. Yayoi, who is the female.
The one female who we barely get any character development for, which kind of sucks. We get like one backstory episode for her, and then she's just kind of there.
Oh no, Nabuchika is her senpai.
They're both that way because they're related.
Mm-hmm.
The one's the son, the one's the father.
And Tomomi is the oldest enforcer, the old guy.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I thought Nabuchika was the old guy because it said veteran. I'm like, oh, but reading more of the sentence, I'm like, wait a minute.
This is why you read things to understand.
Yes.
You don't have Sybil to tell us everything yet.
So this is kind of, well, I'm not going to say kind of, but it does get pretty violent in some spots.
Yes. Like, we discover a person who can literally control their crime coefficient in this. So he can make it so he literally has 0 crime numbers. And let me also point out that these Dominator guns that they use, will only fire on someone with over 100 on that crime coefficient.
And that knocks them out up until 250 where they kill them.
300 where they kill
300.
them.
So, our main villain of the series is going to murder somebody. And he's saying, oh, the only way for you to stop me and save your friend is to use that shotgun over there.
Like an actual gun, not like the Dominator, which decides for her who she can shoot and who she can't.
So, as he's going to slit the person's throat, the crime coefficient is dropping. 49, 20. Crime coefficient 0.
And then he kills them.
He kills her friend. She
Mm.
fires off the shotgun, but she fires it off wildly in a completely separate direction.
That's
Like-
weird that like the gun has like a safety
Yeah.
when it's pointed at somebody that isn't.
Yep.
Yes.
Huh. Interesting.
Well, I mean, make sure you don't kill any innocent civilians.
Mm-hmm.
But this guy's like an outlier in that program and can actually control that number. Also, I think we need to point out the fact that this guy is a manipulator. He manipulates people to a ridiculous extent. Like, the first, I'm going to say, like, 10 episodes are literally them chasing down people that he's manipulated into becoming criminals.
shit.
There was one guy who would steal kind of like, crap, what's that called with Uganda Knuckles? Where did that come from?
Avatars.
Yeah.
Think like VR chat.
VR chat style avatars.
Yeah.
So, this guy is going around stealing other people's avatars because he thinks the original user isn't doing that character justice. Only he can. So he's going around murdering their initial users so he could be their user.
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't do a half bad job. The one character that initially tips everyone off, which is called Talisman, like, his popularity was dropping pretty badly until, you know, this guy killed the original owner and took over. And then it started coming back up again.
And there's Spooky Boogie. That's this cat girl thing.
It's totally not a reference to Nightmare Before Christmas at all.
No, not at all.
But, yeah, there's Spooky Boogie, who apparently knows Akane, gets involved with her to try and catch the guy that has taken over Talisman's avatar, by organizing, like, a in-person meetup, like a cosplay meetup, so everyone's in their avatar outfits,
Mm-hmm.
you know, because of their hologram clothing. And they show up there to eventually catch the criminal, hopefully. Things turn south pretty badly.
Very badly.
To the point that after the raid is conducted and everybody scatters,
Yeah.
the person who controlled Spooky Boogie, the original owner, is then off later that night, and the guy ends up taking over for her as well. So now at this point, he's impersonating 3 separate avatars,
What the fuck?
Mm-hmm.
all to, like, feed this obsession for these characters.
And it's
Yeah.
interesting how they find out that Spooky Boogie isn't the real Spooky Boogie, that she actually used the word police. She never said that word before. She always used the abbreviation.
Mm-hmm. You know, like the LAPD, like that kind of an abbreviation for it, which I'm blanking on what it actually is. But yeah, like beforehand, when she first met with Akane, she kept using that abbreviation. But when they played back the footage that they had of her meeting with Akane after that failed raid, she referred to them as the police. So based on those 2 references, it's like, no. She's using a different speech pattern here. This isn't right. And they're like, she's already been taken. She's probably dead. Like, and it's interesting too, because the way they get rid of the people so that they can't find like any mess or anything is that they almost completely atomize the person. They take the body after they kill them and basically like chop them up in as small pieces as they can and then just shove them down the drain.
tomatoes in the blender.
Yeah, that's what we get as, like, symbology of what they're doing to her after they killed her.
Because the main villain of that episode says, looks like we're going to have to deal with you. And then just turns on the blender.
Yeah, gotta mask that sound, of, like, a hacksaw going into somebody.
I mean, it's disturbing, but hilarious.
It's a juxtaposition, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but like, there's another one that we get to where it's like this girl in an all-girls high school where she's like killing off her classmates and turning their bodies into artwork, and then displaying it underneath like the holograms out in the city.
And nobody can see past the holograms?
Well, they don't reveal it until like they turn off the holograms. Like
the person who uses the hologram?
Yeah, like when there's something underneath there, there's kind of like an interference to it, and they call in like a work crew to try to fix it and see what's wrong with it. So they have to, when the work crew comes in, they got to turn it off, and then they make the discovery of like, what the fuck is under there?
I see.
But yeah, these are all people that have been manipulated into doing these things, whereas they might never have done so otherwise. And the main villain is basically like, I want to see the actual beauty of human choice, rather than just a system that defines what our choices are.
And our duology protagonist, I don't know that word for like our secondary or protagonist, but he has a history with this criminal, which caused him to become a criminal.
Mm-hmm.
So our secondary protagonist, Shinya Kogami, was part of the police force until he got pushed a bit too far, and now he's a latent criminal. Anything to add?
No, you got it, I thought.
Oh, okay.
He's got that backstory with him, and while he has been searching for this guy, because the guy, obviously, as a manipulator, has been in the shadows the entire time, like, it's a matter of figuring out who he is. And the main inspector, Nobuchika, was actually Kogami's partner before he turned into a criminal. And in Nobuchika's case, he's also got a father who became a criminal. And as far as they can tell so far, they don't know whether or not genetics apply into deciding who could potentially be a criminal or not. Like, there's not been any concrete evidence as to whether or not that comes into play at all. At least as of yet in the series. Hell, there's another guy that gets manipulated who's straight up just a person that shoved his brain into a cyborg body.
Mm-hmm.
And he has an obsession with a hunt, like going on a hunt. Because that's the only time he's ever felt alive. So the manipulator keeps giving him new victims to hunt down. And at one point it ends up being Kogami. But no, like, again, a lot of this comes down to the idea of like, what is human free will? Like, is it good to have like a forced kind of happiness put on us by the system? Like, what is living in a society without free will? Right? Or, what is having this godlike figure deciding how we live our lives?
Mm-hmm.
It's a hard one to parse out because, like, you want to say that free will is good, but if somebody knows literally everything about who you are, what you are, and what would be the best choice for you as far as happiness goes, it sounds pretty appealing. You don't, like you said earlier, Ryan, you don't have to think about it too much. It's not something that you have to be afraid of. The ability to fail when they're going to give you exactly what you can do.
And one interesting part about Yayoi is she is so cold and deadpan that even when something extremely brutal happens around her, she'll have almost no reaction.
She's like eating ramen at one point. They're talking about someone being dismembered and then displayed. And she's just like, oh, you're talking about that? Cool, continues eating. It'll take more than that to do anything to me. Nudge.
And her girlfriend, possibly, is their analyst.
It could just be friends with benefits, too.
Mm.
it's hard to say because again, we don't get much development on either of them too much. But yeah, it's even better too because the villain ends up talking to Kogami right at one point, and they're just talking each other with philosophy quotes, like quotes from philosophers, and it's amazing.
And any Shakespeare?
I don't think Shakespeare was in there, at least not when those two were interacting with each other.
Okay.
Like, I'm pretty sure it was quoted at one point when he was talking to that student, but I think it was just philosopher quotes when it was Kogami and him.
I thought there was a quote from, not Macbeth.
Yeah, that was with the schoolgirl.
Oh, okay. Okay, then I must be confusing that scene with, like, the main philosophy insults.
Yeah, the philosophy insults is when he's, like, walking down the spiral staircase just quoting philosophy at him.
Oh, and if I would say that to you, you would also agree with me.
I tend to not trust people that quote Pascal.
Oh, yes, that's what it was.
But, like, it's fucking amazing when they do that. Eventually, the thing goes to the point where Kogami has to go rogue in order to be able to take the guy out because the Dominators don't work on him. And he has to use, like, physical guns and bullets. So he goes rogue. Meanwhile, you know, the police, the main squad that we got are trying to track him down to stop this all. Also, I'm kind of overlooking, like, what the civil system actually is in the end. Which,
do we want to reveal it, or?
I'm not going to reveal it.
Okay.
Let me just put it this way. If the truth about the civil system ever got out to society, they would dismantle it immediately. Like, people would not be able to tolerate what it actually is. I will say this, it kind of reminds you of, like, The Matrix a little bit. It's kind of reminiscent of that idea, where humans are batteries. But that's as far as I'm going to give as far as hints.
So, Ryan, any other questions, observations?
The setting, like, what kind of, like, I don't know, it sounds like it's kind of like Blade Runner or something like that?
It is
with, like,
cyberpunk-y.
Okay.
Very light, I'd say cyberpunk. Very light.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you have a more futuristic society with holograms and stuff, but, like,
yeah,
there's not so much of a punk aspect to it too much.
Mm.
Okay.
So, cyber future?
Sure, I guess. I'm not really quite sure how I would define it.
There's a whole, like...
It's near future.
Yeah, there's a whole mystery aspect, too.
Yeah, because, again, we're trying to figure out who did all these crimes.
Mm-hmm. Action, maybe hints of drama.
Mm-hmm.
And going back to the separateness of them, season 1 was pretty well received. Psycho-Pass 2 got mixed reviews because of the new villain being shoved in and the use of more gore than season 1.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess the fact that the staff change really isn't all that good on it. Season 1 has 22 episodes. Season 2, which we didn't watch, we just mainly covered series/season 1. Season 2 has 11 episodes. There is a movie from 2015 which ties everything together. And actually coming January 2019, the first of a trilogy of all new Psycho-Pass.
And wait, didn't you mention that there's live action this time?
Let me look that up now because no, I do not think it is not live action.
Okay. I was gonna say, like, this is one of the series where things aren't so crazy, like, both in the design aspect and in the premise of the series, that you could pull it off in live action, I'd say.
Its full name is Psycho-Pass, Sinners of the System.
Is that so? They're working on that.
Yes, due out January 2019 in Japan. So,
I'm curious. Do we know if Orobuchi's on it or no?
The Psychopaths wiki has nothing, but it takes place after the Psychopaths movie from 2015. So, so this is more of a sequel than a reboot.
So you're kind of forced to watch through the movie and season 2 then?
Maybe? Or this could have, like, all these new characters in with the world of Psychopaths.
I mean, I think we discussed this before, but isn't the movie the one where they actually shut down the system?
I think that's their intent in the movie. I don't know if they'll be successful due to the fact of this taking place after the movie.
I mean, the only thing I could think of is that somebody turns it back on.
Maybe.
Or if it's like takes place even further in the future where people are like forgotten about what it is or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Or it even more interesting if the civil systems like core is
still
like
active.
Not still active, but like moved and put into a different like I don't want to put it like a different vessel. I would say then at that point, I guess, where it's the same thing but it's under a different name and a different location.
And as of now, these may be translated differently. I'm not too sure if these are official or not, but movie 1 will be Crime and Punishment. Movie 2 will be First Guardian. Movie 3 is On the Other Side of Love and Hate. With movies 2 and 3 without any release date yet.
I'm going to assume there's probably going to be like 6 months to a year between them, I would guess.
Maybe.
That's if it's following the same setup as Digimon Tri is. Because those are like 6 months apart for a set of 6 movies. Speaking of which, I don't think I've seen the most recent one yet.
The final one. Oh, come on, man. You gotta end the series.
I do. I've just been so freaking busy that it's just one of those things that slipped by me. Kind of like Attack on Titan's manga has for the last couple months slipped by me.
And I'm not into Try, but I'm really hoping the O2 kids show up.
I feel like they need to at the end, but we're getting sidetracked here.
Yeah.
At the end of the episode.
Yeah, I gotta head out.
You got things to do, man. Places to be, people to go.
Boxes to move.
Shit to lift.
But do you even lift, bro?
Yeah.
Yeah, a bunch of empty boxes.
I lift them up and put them down. Wasn't that like some gym commercial? Like, oh, so what do we do here? We lift things up and put them down.
Yeah, it's a Planet Fitness commercial.
Okay.
Really makes me want to go to Planet Fitness, doesn't it?
That was for their lunk alarm. They don't like it when you lift things too heavy.
Again, it sounds like an amazing commercial that I totally would want to go to Planet Fitness for. Sorry, I can say that literally about 99% of the commercials I hear anymore is just, man, you really want me to buy your product, and I just couldn't give it any less of a shit.
Did you see Tim and Eric are promoting purple mattresses?
Yeah, dude.
Nope, I haven't seen it.
Oh, it's like some
hilarious.
6-part commercial, and it's typical Tim and Eric. What the hell is going on?
I mean, I prefer the Old Spice commercials where you just have random shit happening and nobody understands why.
I think those were directed by Tim and Eric, actually.
Yeah,
Like, the Terry Crews ones are amazing.
Yes.
I'm sorry. Like, at that point, I'm like, okay, please let me buy your product, because that's amazing.
No, the other Old Spice guy.
Now look away. Now I'm on a horse.
Did you see, I think it was about 3 years ago, Sesame Street parodied that commercial, and it is brilliant.
Nah.
I haven't seen it.
Grover is the Old Spice guy.
Fuck's sake.
Here, here in my hand is a clown with two tickets, nothing you like.
Oh God, we should make a series of just mocking shit commercials. We'd have so much material.
Yes. Oh my God. But next week is taking a step into our past via stuff we already recorded before this episode. Get in the robot?
Get in the robot.
Yes. Ryan knows what
Get in the goddamn robot.
Yes. Yes. So, until we get in the robot, we'll all see you later.
Yep.
Bye.
See ya.